Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable to Miss Anin and all of my friends from class A. Today, we from group 3 will representation the material about semantic and pragmatic. And before that, let me introduce our team. I'm Indra Ramadhan as presenter and moderator, Bagas Johan, Irsan Lazuardi, and Erni Arnika as the presenter. So, for the first material is semantic. Semantic will be present by Erni Arnika. So for Erni, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Gigih. Semantics. Definition of semantics. The word semantics is actually a technical term that refers to the study of meaning. Semantics in English comes from the Greek sema, noun, which means sign or symbol. The verb is semaino, which means to mark or to symbolize. Next slide. Okay, there are experts' views on semantics. The first, Carlos Morris argues that semantics studies connection, the relationship of scene with objects that are containers for the application of symbol. Second, J.W.M. Fairhar, 1981, state that semantics means a theory of meaning or a theory of meaning, which is a systematic branch of language that investigates meaning or meaning. Third, Lehrer, 1974. Semantics is the study of meaning. For Lehrer, semantics is a very broad field of study because it also touches on aspects of the structure and function of language so that it can be linked to psychology, philosophy, and anthropology. Fourth, Cambertel in Borg, 1979. Semantics assumes that language consists of structures that reveal meaning when associated with objects in the experience of the human world. Fifth, Encyclopedia Britannica. Semantics is the study of the relationship between a linguistic distinction with the relationship of mental process or symbols in speech activity. 6. Dr. Mansour Pateda. Semantics is a sub-discipline of linguistics that deals with meaning. 7. Abdul Khair. Semantics is the science of meaning or about meaning. That is one of the three levels of language analysis. There are phonology, grammatical, and semantic. Next slide, please. The first, behaviorist semantics. The adherents of the behaviorist school have general attitudes. 1. Adherents of the behaviorist view are not too sure of mentalistic terms such as mind, concept, and idea. 2. There is no essential difference between human and animal behavior. 3. Attack importance to learning factors and lack of confidence in innate factors. And 4. The mechanism or determination Second, descriptive semantics. Descriptive semantics is a semantic study that specifically shows the current meaning, the meaning of the word when it first appears, not noticed. For example, in Indonesian, there is the word champion, namely the person who gets the top rank in the match without regard to the previous meaning, namely the regulator or so descriptive semantics only pays attention to the present meaning. Third, generative semantics. The well-known concepts in this stream are 1. Competence, namely the ability or knowledge of the language that is understood in communication. 2. External structure, namely language elements in the form of words or sentences that sound like. And 3. The inner structure, namely the meaning that is in the outer structure. This genre became famous with the appearance of Chomsky's 1957 book, which was later updated. Fourth, grammatical semantics. Grammatical semantics is a semantic study that specifically examines the meaning contained in sentence units. Verhaar says grammatical semantics is much more difficult to analyze, analyze to analyze the sentence that is still sitting, the sister is asleep, not only interpreted from the words that compose it. One has to interpret the whole content of the sentence as well as what is behind the sentence. A word will receive its meaning when placed or combined with other words. Fifth, lexical semantics. Lexical semantics is a more specific semantic study in the discussion of the meaning system contained in words. Lexical semantics is not that difficult. A dictionary is a great example of lexical semantics. The meaning of each word is described there. So, lexical semantics pays attention to the meaning contained in the sentence as an independent unit. 6. Structural semantics. Structural semantics stems from the view of structural linguists pioneered by Dosen. Structuralists argue that every language is a system, a unique structural relationship consisting of units called structures. The structure is incarnated in element in the form of phonemes, morphemes, words, phrases, clauses, sentence, and discourse, which divide them into phonological, morphological, syntactic, and discourse studies.
Semantic is definition of meaning. Definition of semantic is it is in view. It's like Petada is here in 2001. In 79 suggests that the term of meaning is confusing word and term. And then according to the Pullman, Petada 2001 in 82 suggests that meaning is the relationship between meaning and understanding. And the last is according to the Ferdinand de Saussure, Church in Church 1994 expressed that notion of meaning as the understanding or concept that is owned or contained in linguistic science. So, the next is the relationship of semantic with other social science. The first is semantic and sociology. Semantic is related to sociology because it often found that the use of certain words to say something can mark the identity of the group speaker. And the second one is semantic and anthropology. Semantic is considered to be of interest to anthropology because the analysis of the meaning of the language through the choice of the word used by its speaker will be able to promise a practical classification of the cultural life its speaker. So this is the lexical relation of semantics. It's like antonym, synonym, hyponym, prototype, homonym, polysemy, metronymy, and collocation. And this is the end of semantic. So the next material is about pragmatic and will be present by Muhammad Irsan and Bagas Johan. So the time is yours.
Okay, Gigih. And the first is about definition of pragmatics. Pragmatic is a branch of linguistics, which is the study of language. Pragmatic focuses on conditional implicature, which is a process in which the speaker implies and listener infers. Simply put, pragmatic studies language that is not directly spoken. Instead, the speaker hints at or suggests a meaning, and the listener assumes the correct intention. In a sense, pragmatic is seen as understanding between people to obey certain rules of interaction. In everyday language, the meaning of words and phrases are constantly implied and not explicitly stated. In certain situations, words can have a certain meaning. And second is pragmatic in interactional context. Pragmatic looks beyond the literal meaning of an utterance and consider how meaning is constructed as well as focusing on implied meaning. It considers language as an operation, language and how we communicate and understand each other. And the next slide will be presented by Bagas Johan. So, Bagas Johan, time is yours.
Thank you. X pragmatics. Next slide, please. Maxim of conversation by Bryce's maxims for conversation are conventions of speech, such as the maxim of quantity that states a speaker should be as informative as is required and neither more nor less. Yeah. Performative sentences. In this type of sentences, the speaker is the subject who, by uttering the sentence, is accomplishing some additional action, such as daring, resigning, or nominating. The third is presupposition. Presupposition is an implied assumption about the word or background belief relating to an utterance whose truth is taken for granted in discourse. And the last is deixis. Deixis is reference to a person, object, or event which relies on the situational context.
What would happen to language if pragmatics did not exist? Pragmatic acts as the basis for a language interaction and contact. It is a key feature to understanding of language and the response that follow this. Therefore, without the function of pragmatics, there would be very little understanding of intention and meaning. And it's all about pragmatics.
Yes, thank you, Irsan and Johan, for your presentation about pragmatic. And the conclusion of the material today, semantic and pragmatic are the one of the branches of science studied the linguistic studies. In semantic, we know what is called meaning classification, meaning relation, meaning change, meaning analysis, and the meaning of the language used. Whereas in pragmatic, we know what is called interaction of cursive, conversational implicator, speech, reference, and inner reference and deixis. Thus, we can include that pragmatic is related to our understanding of things outside of language. However, the things discussed in pragmatic are also related to the things in language. Semantic is a sub-discipline of linguistics that discusses meaning, namely the meaning of the word and the meaning of sentence. So this is our presentation from Group 3, and I'm as a moderator and Muhammad Irsan, Erni Arnika, and Bagas Johan as the presenter. Say thank you for your attention, and I'm sorry if there are any mistakes. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.